learners, this is Elina Mishra. Welcome to SNEB'S Biology. In the last part, we have discussed about the accessory holes. In this part, we will discuss about the reproductive hole. So let's start. The third hole of the flower is known as Androecium and it is the male hole. The single member is known as stamen and each stamen has two parts. There is a swollen part and then there is a thread-like structure. So the swollen part is known as the anther and the thread-like part is called filament. In case of most of the flower, we find that the anthers are bilobed and they are also known as diathecous. These two lobes are connected with the help of a sterile part which is known as connective. So, when there are two lobes, we will remain connected with the help of this sterile tissue which is known as connective. Whereas, in certain families like Malvaceae, it has one lobe. So, it is known as monothecous. Clear? Now, on the basis of attachment of filament to that anther part, we are going to classify this anther. Look at the diagram. In the first case, the filament is attached from the base part of the anther. So, it will be called basifixed. That means the filament is attached to the base of the anther. In the second case, it is attached from the dorsal side of the anther. So, it is known as dorsifixed. In the third case, the filament all along the anther. That means which remain attached to the entire length of the anther. This arrangement is known as adnate. And the fourth one is like dorsifixed but with slight difference. Here the anther lobes they become long and they can easily move when the wind blows. This is seen in case of the flower which are anemophilous. That means the pollination is taking place by wind. So when wind blows, these two anther lobes will be able to freely move. This is known as versatile type of attachment. So there are four different ways in which the filament is attached to the anther. Next, there is one more thing which we need to talk of when we are talking of Androecium or stamen, that is, are they fused or free? So, we will talk of free stamen and that condition is known as polyandrous. Okay, the second condition is the fused stamen. Now, in fused stamen, what is fused? Is it only the filament fused or is it the anther fused? Or the third situation is where anther and filament are fused. So, this fused is classified into three categories. The first one is where only filament fused but anthers free. Such condition is known as adelphous condition. Now, depending upon how many bundles have they formed, we will classify it as monoadelphous, means all the filaments are fused to form only one bundle. This is seen in case of Malvaceae family. In case of China rose, we find a staminal tube and we find many small structures and at the tip of which there are these yellow anthers. So this tube-like structure which is the staminal tube is actually formed by the fusion of filaments and the anthers they are free here and some part of filament is also free, but all the filaments are fused to form only a one bundle. So this is seen in case of Malvaceae family. The second type is known as diadelphous. That means there would be two bundles and this is seen in case of Papilionaceae family. In Papilionaceae family, 9 filaments fuse to form one bundle and one remain free. And in case of the 9 which have fused, we find that the little part is free. 9 have fused to form bundle and one is separate. But there are two bundles formed and that is why it is known as diadelphous condition. Okay. The third one is if there are 3 or more than 3 bundles, then we will call it polyadelphous condition. Polyadelphous means more than 2 or more than 3 bundles. This is seen in case of citrus plant, castor plant. So what happens is filaments they fuse to form bundles and some parts of the filaments are free. So there are many bundles which are formed by the fusion of filaments and in every case anther are free. So when we talk of fused androecium or fused stamen, we need to identify which part is fused. In the first category, we are talking of only filament fused, anther are going to be free. Such condition is known as adelphous condition. And on the basis of number of bundles formed, we have mono, di and polyadelphous condition. In the second case, anthers are fused and filaments are free. Then this condition is known as syngenesious condition or synanthrous condition. Syn is for fused and anthrous is called anthers. Anthers are fused to form a ring-like structure and filaments are free. Then this condition is the characteristic feature of Asteraceae family. That means sunflower family. In the third condition, both are fused. That means anthers and filaments are fused. This condition is known as synandrous. Here syn is again for fused and androus for androecium. Example is cucurbita. So there are three important fused condition, but in this case we have to remember what is fused. If it is free, then all the anthers and filaments will free and we will call it polyandrous. Clear? So we have seen the terms which we were used for the fused condition, free condition as well as for the attachment of anthers to filaments. Now if the stamen is attached to some other hole, then there can be certain condition. This is known as addition of stamen to other holes. Now if the stamens are fused with the petals or corolla, then that condition will be known as epipetalous condition, means stamen, and it is not necessary that the complete stamen should be fused. Normally the base of the filament which is attached to the petals, which is seen in case of Solanaceae and Compositae families. Next, if instead of sepals and petals that flower has tepals and the stamen are fused with tepals, then the condition would be known as epiphyllous or epitepalous. And again it would be the base of the filament which is attached to the base of the tepals. And this epiphyllous or epitepalous condition is found in the member of Liliaceae family. Third condition is if the stamen will be fused with the sepals, then we called it episepalous. Okay. Next is gynandrous. Here the stamens are fused with the carpel or pistil throughout their whole length or by their anther only. Example is Asclepiadaceae family plants. Clear? So these terms are used whenever there is an attachment of the male hole with the other hole. Now we will classify the stamen on the basis of the length of the filament. So there are 4 different type of stamen which we find. And the first one is isostamenous. When all the stamens of the flower are equally length, then the condition is known as isostamenous, which is found in case of Solanum. Next is heterostamenous. Here the length of the stamens are unequal, which is seen in case of Cassia. And the third one is known as didynamous condition. In didynamous, there are total 4 stamen and out of the 4, 2 outer have long filament and 2 inner have short filament, which is found in Ocimum and Salvia. And the fourth condition is known as tetradynamous condition. In tetradynamous condition, there are 6 stamen. Out of these 6, 2 outer are short and 4 inner have long filament. It is the characteristic feature of Brassicaceae family. In the member of Brassicaceae family, we find tetradynamous condition. Clear? So we have discussed all the terms which are associated with the third hole, that is Androecium, which is the male hole. The part where the pollen grains are produced, that is known as the anther, and it is attached to the thalamus with the help of that filament. So whenever we talk of the thalamus, and if we have to draw the stamen, we normally show it like that present in the diagram. So the closer part of the filament is attached to thalamus and is called the proximal part, and the part which is away from the receptacle is known as the distal part of the filament. So the proximal part of the filament is attached towards the thalamus and the distal part of the filament is attached away from the thalamus towards the anther. This is the stamen and the attachment, and we have discussed all the important terms which are associated with Androecium. Clear? Next, we will discuss about gynoecium, that is female reproductive part of the flower. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for more updates. Thank you.